Some on the left complain that the tax plan steals from the middle class. They neglect to look at what things like illegal immigration are actually costing the middle class, taxpayers in this country. A new study from the Federation for American Immigration Reform reveals that taxpayers end up footing a $135 billion bill every year for illegal immigration. So is that evidence of a double standard? Here to debate this is Star Parker. She's the founder and president of the Center for Urban Renewal and Education, and Ali Noorani, the executive director for the National Immigration Forum. Ali, I'll start with you. What do you think?
Well, I think that, President Trump has an incredible opportunity to actually solve this problem for the American taxpayer. In the next few weeks, we've got to decide how are we going to keep the federal government open. So President Trump is going to have one of two scenarios to choose from. He can sign a budget that will begin the process of the deportation of nearly 1 million Dreamers. That will cost the American taxpayer $20 billion. It will reduce our GDP significantly. On the other hand, he can make a great deal for the American taxpayer and sign a budget that brings these young people into legal status, makes them, their families, and their employers, which is very important, taxpayers, which is a net benefit to our economy to the tune of, $20 billion in California, to the tune of $11 billion in Texas, to the tune of $4 billion in Texas or Illinois. That, to me, is a great deal to make, and luckily, we've got the best deal maker ever as president.
All right, Star. At the beginning of this segment, we talked about how the Democrats are saying that this is robbing the middle class. If Nancy Pelosi thinks that the middle class is going to be hurt by this, the poor people are going to be hurt by this, that it's robbing them of their money. But then if you look at what illegal immigrants are costing taxpayers, or costing the middle class and these low-income individuals, it's $135 billion a year. Those numbers are staggering. How do you feel about that? Because you're a hardworking American, and you're paying a lot of money for people who aren't paying into the system.
That's exactly right. And there is concern, and DACA is a concern, and immigration reform, but it's a separate issue. When you're talking about this tax proposal, this will stimulate our economy. Economic policy should not be rooted in envy, for one. And the Democrats are just grasping to rev up resistance because they're losing. What has happened now is Trump and the GOP administration here have been able to come together and say, we're going to take issue by issue. And on this tax plan, what they have discovered is that, is that if they stimulate the economy through reducing that corporate tax rate, that the rich people will spend money. When rich people spend money, poor people make money. And that's one of the things that Democrats do not want to admit when they talk about taxes spent. I'm fascinated that now they're so concerned about the debt. But I'm also glad that the Trump administration, when we finish this tax plan, will move on to welfare reform. So that means we'll reduce the debt.
Ali, what's your message for the president?
My message for the president is that we can be both a nation of laws and a nation of grace. The American taxpayer is hurting. I think this tax plan has got an incredible amount of potential to put money back in the pockets of the American taxpayer. But let's pass immigration reform to make sure that these Dreamers are full-fledged Americans who are paying their taxes. And again, importantly, that their employers are paying their taxes. That's a great deal for the American.
All right. Star, Ali, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.